Greetings, Mavericks and new viewers. Tonight, direct and live from the Maverick News Network World Studios. This is Maverick News with Rick Walker.
He just doesn't know when to quit. Justin Trudeau. He's being given, well, some people say a grace period, a little time to sort of figure it out, that it's maybe time to go. Politicians get to that point in a democracy where they eventually wear out their welcome. He's not getting the message. There's some reasons for that, I think. We'll take a look at what's going on with Justin Trudeau, try to figure out what's in his head and why he lingers while the nation withers. Stay with me.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching. The world is watching. On TV.
The entire world is watching.
On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
All right. So, finance minister resigns. That was 2 days ago now. Seems like just yesterday. So Chrystia Freeland resigns as Donald Trump threatens Canada with 25% across-the-board tariffs. Justin Trudeau is in trouble. There's all this pressure within his own government, among other liberals. Everybody wants the guy to leave, and he's still hanging around. Now, I didn't expect him to step down right away, but I said that I thought he would hang around until at least the new year. He'll take the Christmas break, and then take a walk in the snow like his father, and then probably make the big announcement either over the holidays or when everybody comes back in the new year after the Christmas break. But he's given 2 speeches since Chrystia Freeland stepped aside. The day she quit, which was the day the fall turned into a winter economic statement was tabled. She quit just hours before that thing was made public, leaving Trudeau hanging. because he had to find someone to replace her immediately to deal with the whole thing, and it just was turned into a circus. But he spoke that night at a Liberal fundraiser and really only made very vague reference to what happened that day by saying it had been a difficult day. And then last night, he went to the Liberal Christmas party. Yes. Oh, they didn't have a lot to celebrate, but they made the most of it. Chrystia Freeland was on her way in, and this is what happened with her. One person with a camera was able to ask her one question on her way in. This is the woman at the center of the storm. Here she is.
Tyler, I think you're gonna have to drink a little bit.
Hi, Krista. I was hoping you could tell me about how you're feeling you're attending the holiday party.
I'm happy to be with my family.
And it's left at that. Now, people are saying, oh, she's finally gone. She's gone. No, she's not gone. And they're like, she's looking for a job. No, she's not looking for a job. Well, she is. She's looking for Trudeau's job. She's well positioned now to take a run at the leadership. That's what she has done here. And wisely, smart, shrewd, tactical. What a strategy. Kind of forced into it, I would say, because Trudeau was kind of kicking her to the curb, and she knew it. She was the one he was going to use as the scapegoat for the almost $62 billion budget deficit. Well, last night he gave another speech at the Christmas party, and I'll tell you, he does not look like a guy who's ready to leave. He's not speaking like it. He's not acting like it. He's trying to ride this thing out. I don't think he's going to be able to, but that's what he's trying to do, because last night, his speech, he tried to turn it into a barn burner, and it came off very much like a campaign speech, at least in my assessment. Here's how he opened last night.
Merci, mes amis. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here tonight. It has been an eventful couple of days. Hasn't been easy, and that's why I'm so happy to see you guys. You know, it's hard not to feel happy when we're like this, among liberals, among family, because that's what we really are, a big family.
Having a great big family feud.
Now, like most families, sometimes we have fights around the holidays.
Uh-huh, yeah.
But of course, like most families, we find our way through it. You know, I love this country.
Yeah?
I deeply love this party. I love you guys. And love is what families are all about.
Oh, he loves everyone. It's a great big love-in at the Liberal Christmas party. Yeah, I wasn't feeling the love when Chrystia Freeland walked in there. What about you? Were you getting the sense that there was a lot of love going around? I didn't get that sense. She seemed stiff, distant. And she's just talking to somebody on the way in, but you could tell she was just a wee bit uncomfortable walking in there. He had that I'm not going anywhere grin on his face, as if to say, I'm still in charge, I'm still here, I'm with my base of supporters, my Liberal family. And I'll tell you, his speech, as I said, it came across not as a leader on the way out the door. No, he was trying last night to rally the troops. He tried to give a barn burner of a speech, dig in deep, looking for some sort of, I don't know, nugget of patriotism or liberal loyalty or whatever it was. But you could tell he was trying to light a fire to inspire people to reboot his support, I guess. He's talking about the liberal legacy and a century and a half of almost, constant liberal rule with consistency. Anyway, let's listen to a little bit of what he says in the speech from last night. And man, there's so much other stuff to unpack related to this today, but this is Trudeau trying to cling to power. Listen to this man.
Country, we've gone through a lot these past years. The pandemic, inflation, so much conflict and suffering around the world, international law being trampled, the very foundations of democracy being attacked. I've been wondering, is there such a thing as precedented times? And if so, could we please have some of those? When I look at you tonight, I'm reminded of the strength of our party, of our history. We're the Grits. On est le rouge. We've lived and led through 150 years of Canadian history. We were there for Canadians through the Spanish flu, the Great Depression, 2 world wars, the Cold War. We've seen tough times before, and we pulled through. Because when we pull together, when Canadians pull together, nothing, and I mean nothing, can stop us.
I don't know about you, though. I think somebody's going to stop you pretty soon.
Over 150 years of Liberal history. In the meantime, the Conservatives have changed their names multiple times and changed their values more times than I can count. I mean, call me old-fashioned, but I remember when conservative stood for protecting our institutions instead of trying to tear them down.
So he's on the attack.
I mean, just look at their current leader. His slogans are all about cutting taxes, but put an actual tax cut on the table, and he votes against it. He voted against a tax break for Canadians over these Christmas holidays. He voted to make, when he was a minister, he voted to make life harder for unions, to make it harder for workers to organize. But today, he pretends to stand with them. He voted repeatedly against the right to abortion. But now he tries to claim he's pro-choice. Let me be clear. Being pro-choice means standing up to the people who would take away that freedom, and that would mean standing up to his own party, which he won't do. Now, don't get me wrong. Believing in a woman's right to choose would be a good start for Conservatives. But as Liberals, we just don't believe in a woman's right to choose. We're ready to fight for it every single day.
See what I mean? Like he's hitting the issues. This sounds like a campaign speech.
It has become abundantly clear that Pierre Poilievre will say anything, do anything, just to get elected. But there is one thing that hasn't changed: Conservatives' obsession with cutting programs that actually help people. It seems the only thing that Pierre Poilievre of Christmas Past and Christmas Present can agree on. With Pierre Poilievre's cuts, you pay the price. But Canadians know where the Liberal Party of Canada stands. We stand for an economy that is fairer, greener, and stronger. An economy that works for everyone, not just the richest few. We stand for safer communities, free from assault-style rifles designed for battlefields. We stand for a woman's right to choose. We stand for the right to be who you are and love whom you love. On se tient debout pour notre culture. On se tient debout pour nos langues officielles.
His own party is falling out of love.
We stand for the rights of linguistic minorities, and that means les francophones à l'extérieur du Québec and anglophones inside of Quebec. We stand for reconciliation. We stand against those who think they can exploit the vulnerable. We stand against hate and division. We stand with workers and the middle class. We stand with Canadians. We stand up for Canada. Merci, mes amis. Thank you so much. Joyeux Noël.
See what I mean? That was a campaign speech, and he was trying to inject energy, light a fire, get people rallied, fired up. That's a campaign speech.
Merci, mes amis.
Okay, Justin, good luck, because the knives are out within your own party. I am telling you, folks, he just doesn't know when to quit. The writing is on the wall. They've delivered the message. Now, you can't count him out because he's got that name, Trudeau. His father, with the whole Trudeau mania craze that swept him to power, and all of that legacy, that socialism legacy that is still present in Canada today, that's all steeped in the Trudeau name, which he possesses. There's real power there, just in the name. And he still has carries a lot of weight within that party. Plus, there's also, I would say, a lot of external support politically for Trudeau as well. And I'm not talking from within Canada. I'm talking from, external sources. And I'm not saying necessarily that that kind of support is illegal, but there is, the WEF, international organizations. I think that there, as much as he has lost a lot of support internationally or respect, there are others who, see him as an instrument of whatever, a tool to be used, right? A tool to be used to achieve political goals, even international goals, because Trudeau has stated that Canada is the world's first post-nation state. He sits there and says he loves the country, and yet he's been eager and aggressive about giving up our sovereignty. So where does that leave him? Well, his predicament since the resignation of the finance minister, which came in such a public way with her issuing that statement saying that basically she didn't have confidence in him anymore, and he obviously doesn't have confidence in her anymore. And now you have this massive budget deficit and all of these calls for him to resign. And this is now resulting in international coverage and embarrassment for Trudeau, for the whole darn country, really. Hang on a second here. I'm going to vet this call, and then we'll be right back on the other side of this, where our coverage of Justin Trudeau's plight continues. Don't go away.
He's a fighter. He's a survivor. President Trump, defiant, strong. He is determined to make America great again. Pay tribute to the 45th President of the United States with this collectible t-shirt from the Maverick News Memorable Moments collection. Even a would-be assassin's bullet could not stop him. Instead, he emerged with his fist in the air ready to fight. for freedom. Get your Trump Fighting for Freedom t-shirt with any donation of $30 or more to Maverick News. There are 2 iconic artistic designs to choose from. But there is only one way to get these. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Support free speech. Free media. Support Maverick News. Call 1-866-248-1490 or order online at supergeeks.tv.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
Hang on just a second.
I'll just follow your lead. You go with it, I'll follow you.
Okay, we're back live, and folks, we've got a return caller. I think this is your second time on the program, isn't it?
Well, it's my third or fourth time, but
is
the other times were, quite a few years ago. So, but yeah, it's Cage from Alberta. How you doing?
All right. So, first of all, before we get into all the other stuff we were speaking about, as I was kind of previewing this, and we've got kind of a bad connection here, but we'll see if this is going to work. What's your reaction to Justin Trudeau's speech last night, and do you think he's going to step aside?
I agree with you. That was a campaign speech. He wasn't talking to the people in the room as much as he was begging his big money donors and people that support the Liberal Party at all costs, etc., to bring him out of this. He's not giving up. Justin Trudeau. Here's the thing. I've said this to friends before. I've said this to people, even on my own shows when I was doing live streams. Here's a kid that never had a chance, right? He was born into this. He was the oldest son. Pierre was already in the middle of doing everything he was doing. So his whole life, he's been aimed towards this. He's, like you said, like the Trudeau name, he still has the Trudeau name. The problem is that it's not just the polls. It's the fact that he's losing the media support. Everybody, the rats are leaving the ship. And rats eat themselves. When they run out of food, what do they do, right? But that was a campaign speech, and it was a powerful one, except for the fact that I don't know if it's something that he allows us to use in our safe injection sites, or if his doctor has him on Xanax. But you could tell, he wasn't finishing words. I think he's under stress. Mm-hmm. I think that his narcissism is not allowing him to see all the things he needs to be able to see. And I think we saw it in that speech last night. I think it's really very evident that he still is just not going to let go.
Yeah, he's not letting go. That's exactly it. He's just not. He's choosing to ignore the message, I would say.
He doesn't even know himself. Well, and yeah, my girlfriend just said he doesn't even know himself. I think that's been his problem his whole life. I don't think he's ever been allowed to be himself. You know, his younger brother that mysteriously, disappeared was the good kid. He was the fun kid. Everybody loved him.
Mm-hmm.
The other brother, I can't remember his name, but he basically has an apartment in Iran. He does documentaries.
Kyle, yes, his half-brother Kyle, yes.
His half-brother.
Mm-hmm.
Now Trudeau has denounced him because Kyle has gone on to Tucker and other shows and other around the world. Because I think he actually, again, he's a half-brother. He's got a different father, same mother, but after she kind of cleaned herself up too, right? Let's be honest. I just don't think Justin has those pieces in his mind. I kind of feel for him in a way that he does not have those tools, because I don't think he was ever allowed to have those tools. And I think we're seeing it now. And I think this whole ship is sinking. Backbenchers in the Liberal Party have been, saying a lot of things for several months. I think you covered this a couple months ago. Is that a lot of these backbenchers go home to their ridings, and they're in northern Quebec. They're not in Montreal or Quebec City or Valcartier. They are in Coeur d'Alene and River-Saumon and these tiny little places up north, and their voters are telling them what the hell is going on. And so they've got to answer to the people that they know personally. Because it's a different world when you're in a small town. When you're in a big city and you're the star and you've got the numbers and you've got the money and you get the votes, you don't have to actually know your constituents. But you get out into the country, and it doesn't matter if you're in New Brunswick or Ontario or Quebec or Saskatchewan. Everybody knows everybody. And so I think a lot of the people in the Liberal Party right now, as far as the members of Parliament are going, and even the folks in the Quebec legislature that are Liberal, and even a lot of the Bloc Québécois, I think the message they're getting is absolutely not what Justin has the intellectual and mental and emotional pieces to handle. And I think we're seeing that.
Yeah, I've said I don't think someone like Justin Trudeau can really relate to the common person.
No, and Christopher Freeland grew up in Peace River, Alberta, and my cousin went to school there. Mm-hmm. So I've had kind of an inside look into who she was growing up. Why does Rachel Notley? Why was her riding into Edmonton and not Fairview, where her dad was? Well, because she was not popular. She was not liked. She was not a nice person. She didn't have too many friends, and she was not her dad, and she couldn't. Christopher Freeland did not run in Peace River, Alberta, because she would have never got elected as a Liberal. Would never have happened, will never happen. And so she's a Toronto rider. So now she's jumping ship. Mm-hmm. And again, she's sinking her teeth in as she goes, because she doesn't know any better.
Yeah.
She's been high on the hog for 9 years in the caucus, and having all these, she was foreign affairs, wasn't she? Wasn't there her portfolio at first was foreign affairs?
Yes, initially, yes. Yep, that's right.
Right, and then she got the finance minister, and about a week after the finance minister, they announced that she was now our deputy prime minister, which
That's
you know, this isn't the USA. We don't have an automatic vice president. I mean, no one, everyone in the United States that actually pays attention to their politics and their history and everything, they can name the presidents and the vice president. In Canada, I dare you, anyone, to start with, let's say, Louis St. Laurent and Diefenbaker, and keep going, and name their deputy prime minister. You won't do it. I can't do it.
I can't name all the vice presidents either. You know.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is the vice president in the United States is an actual very important position. Okay, they are the pillow to the president. They get all the soft jobs and the appointments and the visits across seas, and they go to the forums and all that kind of stuff. We don't have that in Canada. Until Chrystia Freeland, no one ever pushed deputy prime minister, deputy prime minister, deputy prime minister. You didn't hear it. You know, every once in a while you might hear this is the deputy prime minister, and people are like, oh, really? Oh, that's cool. You know, but until Chrystia Freeland, nobody had a full-time job actually being the deputy prime minister. And so now, here we are in December of 2024, and shortly after November 11th, and then we had the absence of a Canadian presence of anyone notable over in France for the Notre Dame, for the revealing of the Notre Dame Cathedral being rebuilt after the fire. Yet, the Quebec premier went there and talked to Trump.
Yes.
Okay. So Trudeau went down to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Trump. He didn't take Chrystia Freeland with him. He took who? Well, that's Mr. LeBlanc, our new finance minister. So since the debacle in Canada of him canceling no prayer is allowed on November 11th, all these things that he did, these crazy woke things that he's doing, everything is falling apart. And I think even Chrystia Freeland and some of the 9 ministers that have left his cabinet since July. Like, I don't know, I don't follow all your shows every night, but have you covered that 9 of his ministers in the last 6 months have resigned?
Yeah, I mean, piecemeal we've been covering it, but it's true. He's been losing some key people over time, and that's because they know that the next election is going to be more than an uphill battle. It'll be a miracle if they even emerge with full party status.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, there's the other thing too, is that you know, party status, that's a big deal. I don't know if the Liberals will lose party status, and the reason is that because of what they've done since 2017 by increasing the number of ridings in major cities, especially you know, in Newfoundland, New Brunswick, Montreal, Quebec City, Toronto, to a certain extent Winnipeg, absolutely Edmonton and Calgary. Calgary hasn't really swung the way they wanted, but Edmonton did give them, you know, quite a few seats. Because they have those city votes, and we talked about this the other night with that lady that you said has a real good chance to, you know, maybe make a move. She's a minister right now. She's a friend of Christian.
Oh,
Freeland.
Anita Anand.
Yes, Anand. And again, she checks a lot of boxes that those people are looking for. So, because they have so many seats in these cities, I don't think that there's going to be as big a crash of the Liberal Party in the next election as people think. I really think they're going to lose. I don't think there's any way around it. I don't think they can hide it. I don't think they can buy votes. I don't think they can load, boxes or machines and get away with it. I think that they know, everyone knows they're done, except for Justin.
Except. I keep saying he has something up his sleeve. There's something that he's going to use to try to hang on, and I think it has something to do with foreign interference. But that's me speculating.
Okay, so now again, I don't have stuff in front of me right now, but I do know that Poilievre has done a couple interviews where he said that he's not going to allow anyone to run for his Conservative Party that is connected to the WEF. Well, some of the biggest voices and some of the people that have been in there for a while and been voted in over and over again, maybe 3 to 4 times, a lot of them have been to the World Economic Forum and become the young leaders and all that kind of stuff. Rempel is one that comes to mind. What's he going to do with Andrew Scheer, who also has passed the test?
Yeah, I think to clarify, I think Poilievre has said no WEF members can serve in cabinet.
Yeah.
So MPs, yes. Cabinet, senior positions, no.
Well, again, but what I'm saying, and you know this too. So again, Andrew Scheer, Rempel, there's a few others that they're cabinet seated people now. They've been voted in 3 or 4 times.
Yes.
So he's not going to put people with experience in cabinet and get away with it. He's got a hill to climb too. And I think Trudeau knows that. I think the people around, maybe, I don't think Justin's as dumb as we think he is, but he absolutely is surrounded by smart people. The people absolutely close to him, they, you wouldn't win too many chess matches against these folks, I don't think.
Yeah, he's.
Right?
I don't think Justin Trudeau is stupid. I just think he's self-centered. I think he has trouble with math. Yeah, but it's he's generating international headlines now. In fact, while I've got you on the line, I'm just going to run a brief clip of this is Joy Reid, and this is what's going on with international coverage of this.
And right now, Trump is that toddler.
Yes.
And he wants nothing short
Just hang on a sec. I'm running the clip.
and constant adulation for everyone to say they love him and praise him and tell him he's the best president ever. And it'll never be obsequious enough or vigorous enough. He'll always want more and punish and humiliate even those who do comply. Just ask Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, and all the black Republicans who went to the mat for Trump during the campaign only to get snubbed as he builds his administration. He will always reward weakness with more humiliation. And that includes foreign leaders like Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, who went to Mar-a-Lago last month to kiss the ring, behaving like Trump was already president, which he's not. And how does Trump reward him? By publicly mocking Trudeau on his social media site, once again calling Trudeau the governor of the great state of Canada. Joining me now is Tim O'Brien, senior executive editor of Bloomberg Opinion and MSNBC political analyst. And I have to tell you, this Trudeau thing really bothered me. Let me just put up this tweet that Trudeau posted on, why is he still on X Twitter? But he posted this tweet of himself. Look at me next to Donald. Look, what is he doing? When will people learn, Tim, that emasculating yourself before Trump, as Ted Cruz did, as so many have done, doesn't help and just makes him worse?
So there he is, kissing the ring. And what do you think? Did Did Trudeau embarrass himself by going to Mar-a-Lago? Did he show weakness? Is that where all of this is coming from?
No. I think that Trudeau politically and personally was probably trying to make a move. He just couldn't help himself to ruin it a week later. But again, I don't know if you can get so far to the left that you've actually bounced your head off the wall than Joy Reid, and she's criticizing him.
Yeah, the love affair, the honeymoon is long past. He's past his best before date. This is a guy who used to, the media used to fawn over him and talk about his hair and his fancy socks. And now he's on the outs. It doesn't matter how much money he forks over to the media through government grants and internationally too, in the U.S. Even the liberal media, they're done with the guy.
Yeah. And worldwide, you go to, it's not just actually the CBC that's questioning him, which just blows me away that, Rosemary Barton has actually, somehow found a brain cell. But it's the BBC, it's South African television, it's Australian television. Everybody's saying the same thing. And I don't think this is the old teletape when everybody got the same message and everybody would, all the news stations would repeat the same thing over and over again. I don't think that's it at all. I think people have actually realized, oh shit.
Yeah, and in fact, here, let me run another little clip here. This is CBC Power Play, and this, of course, is the state broadcaster, which relies on Justin Trudeau and the Liberal government for its very survival, ultimately the government for all the subsidies and so on. But the love affair with these guys is over too. Here's CBC Power Play.
James, where do you think things stand now after everything we've seen in the last 24, 32 hours, and we've not yet heard from the Prime Minister in any kind of a meaningful way?
I'm noticing in the assessments of Prime Minister Trudeau's leadership that there's basically two camps. People who want him to go and people who think he will stay. But there's not a third camp of people who really want him to stay. And that's kind of a missing void in this dialogue, right? You look at the original cabinet that Prime Minister Trudeau was sworn in with in November of 2015. There was Prime Minister Trudeau plus 34 cabinet ministers. Of the 34 cabinet ministers he first came into office with, there are 9 left. Of all of those who have departed, and it's a long index from Jody Wilson-Raybould to Chrystia Freeland to Marc Garneau to Bill Morneau to you know them all. How many of them are standing up and pushing back and saying, hey, wait a minute. Justin Trudeau has been a great prime minister. This is he's a good man who's doing really hard work. He's making tough decisions. He needs to stay on his, where is the audience of people? I can tell you Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin and Stephen Harper, Brian Mulroney, if people, if this was that dynamic, I know that John Baird and I and Jason Kenney and Ronna Ambrose would be very quick to defend Stephen Harper's legacy and his character and his leadership of the party and what his legacy was. I don't see anybody, not anybody, doing that for Justin Trudeau right now. And the grace that's being given to him right now by some people to try to get a grip of reality and find a way to find his way to the exit door is that grace is going to disappear, I think, in the coming few days, if not weeks. His time as prime minister is over, and he needs to come to that reality. And this isn't just a political game. Canada is suffering as a consequence of this. Our largest trading partner is laughing at us. Canada, not just Justin Trudeau, Canada is now the butt of a series of jokes in the United States by whom we are about to be imposed a massive tariff that will drive Canada into a deep recession. There are real world consequences to this gamesmanship by Justin Trudeau, and he needs to go, and we need to have an election.
And so what do you think? Do you just give me your thought? Gonna have to mute your audio there so we don't get the echo.
Yeah, no, I just muted. Yeah. I mean, that's so profound, isn't it? Really. I mean,
That's the CBC. That is his network. That's where these are the guys who are supposed, these are liberals essentially, or maybe New Democrats, but same thing.
It's the other thing too is not just the CBC, but CNN down in the United States. They've actually been allowing pure Republicans to be on the panel and actually go after the people that are trying to spout all these, defenses of Biden and Harris and everything else. And they're showing that they're showing that defense of both sides. And it's a swing that, I think a lot of us were hoping to have, especially on the libertarian side, where you really want to, I'm not saying I'm a libertarian. I'm making a point. But it's that, common sense and reality has to sink in sooner or later. And I think that the media has got to the point where, and you know this more than I do, because my time in journalism was, a little bit here in radio and there and that. But you got some time in on actual journalism and being around these people and doing big interviews and everything else. And so what I'm saying is that I think what we're seeing here is a shift, not to the center as far as politically goes, but as far as I think a lot of the media that have been high on the hog for a lot of years, which is why you got away from the media and other people that, have their YouTube channels and that used to be on, ABC, NBC, whatever they are. I think that a lot of the people that are still stuck in that realm are realizing that, oh my, we really do need to listen to the people who pay our bills, the people that have the actual opinion and they have the vote, not just political vote when you go to the polls and say I'm voting for this candidate. People vote with their wallets, and the wallets are pretty shy right now. And
what they need is eyeballs. Yeah. Because they make their money through, well, in this case of CBC, it's a combination of government money and advertising, but they need the ad revenue to come back, and to get that, you need an audience, you need the eyeballs, and they're losing that. But
yeah. And what I'm saying is that again, well before COVID, but let's use COVID because that really does drive it home, is that there's a lot of people who made it through COVID and didn't care because they had a steady paycheck, whether it was media or big pharma or government or whatever their job was, that they weren't affected. And they could go to Hawaii and they could buy the new car and they didn't have to worry. They didn't care if the lights were left on in the bathroom overnight, because they didn't care because it was covered. Whereas then, the 85% of the rest of us were like, oh, geez, what do we do now? I think that because the 85% have actually been cracking the whip, that they've realized, oh, damn. And I think, again, these folks that are members of parliament, members of legislative assemblies, they're in Congress in the United States, or they're in the repertoire in France, or whatever it may be. I think that they are getting the message from their people that no, the answer is no. And I think the media is finally beginning to speak for the people again, because I don't think they have a choice. Again,
so yeah. So listen, I'm going to get you to kind of
you get more.
Your call's kind of breaking up on us, so I'm just going to get you to give us kind of a final wrap up thought because your audio is breaking up.
Oh, okay, sorry about that. So what I'm saying is that like for instance, for you and all the way up to Joe Rogan and everybody in between, the media has lost the voice. And I think the politicians have lost the voice. And I think we're seeing that. And I think that, I think where we're going in the next coming weeks is we're going to see, like we talked about the other night. So I think we're going to see a lot of ad campaigns. We're going to see a lot of speeches. I think we're going to see a lot of appearances. I think we're going to see a lot more of what Justin Trudeau did last night, which is a campaign speech. He's paddling upriver.
Yeah, he's going to try and salvage it, but I don't think he will.
No, but I think we're going to see a lot of paddling upriver at every level.
I think you're right. Yes, I agree.
That's my point. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for calling in again. It's been a great call, and look forward to the next one.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, take care. And of course, this is all happening against this backdrop of Trump's threat of a 25% tariff, and we're getting various responses from Canada's provincial premiers, the equivalent of a U.S. governor. And I'm not talking about Governor Trudeau of the 51st state, but there's all that going on as well. Doug Ford, sorry, that was his brother, Mayor of Toronto. Mr. Ford, Premier of Ontario, on CNN today, taking a little bit more of a diplomatic tact on his earlier statement from a couple of days ago, saying that, if Trump proceeds with these tariffs, Ontario would look at cutting off the energy flowing from Ontario into the United States as a retaliatory measure. It would be a last resort, he says, but that counter threat was there. I don't know. I'm kind of with him, because I personally think that Justin Trudeau showed weakness in the face of his visit with his face-to-face visit with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Doug Ford taking a different approach, trying to show some sort of strength. We're not in the best position to do that, but because we're so much smaller economically than the United States. But I don't know. We do carry some weight. Anyway, here's Ford on CNN today just changing his stance a little bit. And I think that's to bring himself more into alignment with what the other premiers across Canada are doing, so that they can show a greater degree of unity.
Tonight, Donald Trump throwing Canada into chaos after calling Canada a state and calling its prime minister Governor Justin Trudeau. Comes as Trump's nemesis in Canada. The country's deputy prime minister, Freeland, who's also its finance minister, is gone. She abruptly resigned after clashing with Prime Minister Trudeau, saying he is not doing enough to stand up to Trump and Trump's threat of 25% tariffs on every single good that comes into the United States from Canada. Trump calls her toxic. But there is another top Canadian official now taking Trump on tonight, Ontario Premier Doug Ford. He is calling for his country to use every tool in our toolbox, a direct quote, including cutting off Canadian energy to the United States if Trump follows through with his threat. Warning, quote, the Americans are going to feel the pain as well. Premier Ford is out front with me tonight. And Premier, I appreciate your time. And I want to just start here with your proposal itself. What exactly does cutting off Canadian energy to the United States look like?
Well, first of all, Aaron, thanks for having me on. That's the last thing I want to do. I want to sell more electricity, more power to our U.S. friends and closest allies in the world. But that's a tool that we have in our toolbox. We power over 1.5 million homes in Michigan and counties in Michigan and New York State and Wisconsin. That's the last thing I want to do. I want to sell more energy to the U.S. I want to sell more critical minerals to the U.S. Again, we're the closest trading partner, closest allies. We do $1.3 trillion of two-way trade. That's more than Japan, China, UK, and France combined. I just feel we aren't the enemy. The big problem, in my opinion, is China. Cheap Chinese products going through Mexico. They're slapping a made in Mexico sticker on, shipping it up through the U.S. and Canada, and costing American and Canadian jobs.
So, when you talk about that Americans will feel the pain if you have to go through with this, you specifically threatened to turn off the lights to 1.5 million Americans. And I say that just because if you're specifically talking about electricity coming into the U.S. from Canada, that only makes up about 1% of annual U.S. electricity consumption. That's according to the EIA here in the U.S. But, Premier, when it comes to crude oil, if you go bigger, you're looking at Canadian exports to the U.S., 60% of America's total oil imports come from Canada. So do you want to go bigger in this? If these tariffs are going to go through, should you reciprocate with tariffs, not just on electricity, but on crude oil itself?
Well, we ship down 4.3 million barrels every single day. If there was a tariff on that, that would increase gas by $1 a gallon. That wouldn't go over very well. And, both sides of the border are going to feel the pain. We rely on each other. Ontario is a big auto province. Yeah. And I want to work with the U.S. I love the American people. I spent 20 years of my life there in Chicago, in our Chicago facility in New Jersey. I love Americans. I love the U.S. And we're so much stronger together. Let's build Fort MCAN and let's onshore these products from China and create more American and Canadian jobs.
So can I just ask you, taking a step back, and I know some of the stuff Trump had posted, he referred again to Canada as a state. He referred again to Prime Minister Trudeau as a governor. It's not the first time. He had posted that AI-generated image of himself standing next to the Canadian flag with the caption, "Oh, Canada." And that was after Prime Minister Trudeau flew down to Mar-a-Lago unannounced to meet with Trump about his tariff threat, where, Trump joked that Canada could become the 51st state. So can we just take a step back? I know in some of this he's sort of making a joke, but he's doing it again and again and again. And obviously, it is demeaning. I mean, how do you respond to that he keeps referring to Canada as a state and the leader of your country as a governor?
Well, it's up to premiers like myself, which is equivalent to governors down in the U.S. Yep. It's our job to go down and inform Americans. We have a large ad campaign going on in the U.S. to inform them that we are their number one trading partner, number one ally in the entire world.
Answer.
The supply chains are so integrated. We're so much stronger together. The only people that win, Aaron, is China. Americans lose, Canadians lose, and that's the problem. And Mexico has to make a decision. You're either with Beijing or you're with Washington. I'll tell you what Canadians are with. They're with Washington.
So do you take Trump seriously when he mocks Canada, or do you think that that's just, his negotiating tactic?
He has a sense of humor, but I'm more concerned about the trade, making sure that we secure trade on both sides of the border. And this is pretty simple. The president is asked to secure our border. I agree with him 1,000%. We need to secure our border. We're going to secure our border. We have to meet our 2% commitment to NATO. And we're going to do both. So those are two asks that we're going to get done. I've been saying it well before President Trump was elected that we have to meet the 2%. We have to secure our borders. Yeah. And then we move forward and sit down and have a discussion. I'd love to sit down with the president, businessman to businessman, and have a conversation with them because we are so much stronger together.
All right. Well, Premier Ford, I appreciate your time tonight, and thank you.
Well, you know what? We should be taking what Trump says, I think, more seriously when it comes to him mocking the country and really disrespecting our sovereignty. It is, in my view, insulting to Canadians, not just Justin Trudeau. It's an insult to Canada as a country, as a nation state, to Canadians. It's an assault, a verbal assault, and really a threat coming from the president-elect of the United States of America. You don't talk like that. You just don't do that when you're in that kind of position, when you're the prime minister or the president of a country. You don't talk like that. because it's disrespectful and can be interpreted as a potential threat. Now, our politicians are brushing this off diplomatically, saying, oh, he's such a joker. It's just a joke. Ha, ha, ha. No, I don't necessarily think that it is. This is a prelude to something much bigger. I've been saying it for quite a while. I believe that this is just foreshadowing things to come. They've been talking for a long time about turning Canada, the United States, Mexico into sort of like a big bloc, if not just a trading bloc, but even a sovereign bloc where national sovereignty, the borders are basically dissolved. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, also even taking note of this on his podcast this week and addressing this. And he sees a real threat to Canada because of Trump and his rhetoric leading up to this. I've been saying for a while, folks, that this incoming Trump administration is not like the last Trump administration that we saw come in 2016. This one in 2024, much more aggressive, much more nationalistic. And when they're talking about America first, they're sure not putting Canada even second. I don't think he really cares about any other country in the way that he did in 2016. Just listen to Cohen himself. Listen to him.
Because the other day on Political Beatdown, Ben and I, my co-host, were speaking about Canada. And it was a really interesting conversation. Now, you have to understand, half my family live in Toronto. My father's from Canada and so on, until, of course, he became a citizen many years later when I was already like 11 years old. And we discussed that Canadian public figures are starting to speak about Trudeau's Mar-a-Lago dinner, which, of course, I refer to as going there to kiss the ring. Now, Ben and I slightly disagreed. I see it a little different than he sees it a little different. Though we both see the forest, we just have differences of opinions regarding the tree. We both were disagreeing about what that dinner actually meant, which made for a great conversation. And you need to be a part of it. Play the clip.
The first one I'll show you this is recently what Doug Ford said last night or 2 days ago, kind of changing his tone. Let's play this.
This powerful heater can heat up any room in seconds without the high electricity costs. Electricity suppliers don't want you to know about this affordable secret.
Let's make no mistake about it. As I mentioned to the Prime Minister, the rest of the premiers, we need to be ready. We need to be ready to fight. This fight is coming 100% on January the 20th or January 21st. But we'll use every tool in our toolbox, including cutting them off energy that we're sending down there. Folks, this is coming. It's not if it is, it's coming. And it's coming January 20th or 21st. And we need to be prepared. We need to stand as a country. We need to stand united as Canadians and work hand in hand and shoulder to shoulder with our colleagues across the country. And we're ready to do it. We'll use every tool in our toolbox to fight back. We can't sit back and roll over. We just won't as a country. We never have.
So Doug Ford, Conservative Party, he used to be MAGA guy. He was quoted as saying, "Yep, my support for Trump is unwavering." Let me show you one more, Cohen, then get your response. On the opposite end of the political spectrum, the New Democratic Party, you had Charlie Angus, member of Parliament, gave this incredible speech. I played the whole speech on one of our YouTube videos. Let me show you a small portion of it here. This is the party that's allied with the majority party, the Liberal Party. This is the NDP right now. Play this clip.
So yes, they are our neighbors, but we have stood up to them. We're in a different situation with Donald Trump, a convicted predator, who's seriously undermining the democratic process in the United States, and he thinks he can just push us around. He insults us. You know, the Conservatives seem to like it because he's insulting our Prime Minister, but he's not really insulting the Prime Minister. He's insulting Canadians, calling us the 51st state.
That's right, exactly.
You know, once there was a Canada that had a flag that didn't need to be waved. A flag that represented who we are. We didn't boast about it.
That was Charlie Angus, a member of the Canadian House of Commons. He's Michael Cohen. And when you have the NDP and the Conservative Party in Canada saying similar things, and Donald Trump's uniting political part, not necessarily uniting them, but at least rhetorically against the United States. And these are our allies in Canada and Mexico. This is China's dream scenario right now.
Yes, but let's at least be honest with each other, right? This Canadian gentleman can say whatever he wants, that we're going to use whatever tool we have in our toolbox. What do they have? Do you know how big, for example, the Canadian Army is? The Canadian Army is smaller than the New York City Police Department. They have 70,000 people in their entire military. Their major production, the major outsourced goods that they send to the United States is steel, aluminum, lumber, and gas, natural gas. We can do without all of those. That's the unfortunate reality that we have. And my family, half my family live in Toronto. I love Canada. And I got to tell you something. I'm so disappointed that Trudeau went there to kiss the ring. You see, the mistake that Trudeau
I don't think
made.
he went there to kiss the ring, though. I don't.
What he did is he thought that he was going to outsmart Trump. He was going to go there. They were going to have a pleasant conversation. He was going to go there, kiss the ring, tell him how great it is that he's going to be returning to the White House, unprecedented victory. But Donald, it's really not in either of our best interests. And these are Trudeau's words. It's not in either of our best interests within which to impose tariffs. In 2017, Trump imposed tariffs on, for example, aluminum that was being imported to the United States. The cost went up so much, like, for example, with aluminum cans, that Trump gave them a waiver. He gave everybody a waiver. So he went there thinking he was going to sweet talk Trump out of this notion of doing the tariffs on Canada. Instead, you know what Trump saw in Trudeau? He saw weakness. I've seen this a million times with Trump. The second he feels that you are weak, he owns you. And not only did he decide that he was going to own him, he decided he was going to embarrass him as well in front of his entire country. Because, yes, it's true. Trump hates Trudeau. He does. And by the way, you know why Trump hates Trudeau? You know, in 2017, you know what the rumor was? That Trump hated him because Ivanka thought he was really handsome. I'm not joking about this shit. That's how petty that things were in 2017. But Trump embarrassed him, not just in front of America when he turned around and kept calling him governor, but also when he started referring to Canada as the 51st state. He embarrassed him in front of his own country and the world. And that's what Trump wanted to do.
I think.
You know what really scares me about what he said is his reference to the size of the Canadian military. Why are we even talking about that? I keep saying, better wake up. Why? You think this country isn't in play? You think this country isn't in some sort of danger? I can't quantify it exactly, but I sense it. I see big red flags. When Tucker Carlson isn't talking about, forgive me, testicle tanning, which I wasn't even aware of until just a couple of days ago. I just let that wash over me, but someone drew that to my attention. There's a guy who talks about testicle tan. What the hell is that? But anyway, when he isn't talking about testicle tanning, he's talking about invading Canada or liberating Canada. What does liberation of Canada look like? You're going to liberate us? No thanks. We'll take care of our problems ourselves. And he's not the only one. I keep making reference to a number of people who over the past year and a half, almost 2 years, keep talking about how Canada is a threat to the United States. The border's a threat. We keep hearing that. These are, the Lieutenant Steve Rogers SOS letter writing campaign, which was essentially him getting Canadians to send letters to the U.S. government screaming for help, asking basically for an invasion, for the U.S. military to come up here and save us or liberate us. It's been happening too consistently from people in positions of influence, public influence, in a very public way, for it to be just a joke. There's more at play. Now Trump actually coming out and calling Canada the 51st state. Here, look, he's still doing it. Here's a Trump social media account. It's not his, but it's a Trump Army on X or Twitter. Here, I'll show you. What are they talking about? Exactly this. They're polling. Do you agree with President-elect Donald Trump that Canada should become the 51st U.S. state? As if to say Trump has already decided that Canada should. It's a good idea. Now it's like really a question. This isn't a threat to our sovereignty, the very existence of Canada? Although, as I've said many times, why would Trump even want us? He's concerned about border security. He's going to get the whole enchilada. He'll get the whole multicultural mosaic, and there won't be a border. So then he'll have a much harder time at that point trying to control who comes and goes throughout the continental U.S. of A. All of the U.S. of A, actually. So be careful what you ask for there, DJT. Isn't it weird? JT and DJT. Just something that came to mind. And as much as I said earlier that Justin Trudeau has trouble doing math, it surprises me that a guy went to the Wharton School of Business and fancies himself some sort of a financial and economic genius can't get his numbers straight. Trump saying that the U.S. subsidizes the U.S. economy to the tune of $100 billion a year. Well, here's the clip, and then I'm going to show you what I mean. He has a little trouble with his math, too. And I'll explain why after we run the clip.
We're subsidizing Canada to the tune of over $100 billion a year. We're subsidizing Mexico for almost $300 billion. We shouldn't be subsidizing. Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let them become a state. We're subsidizing Mexico, and we're subsidizing Canada, and we're subsidizing many countries all over the world.
Well, Donald, that's not exactly accurate because, well, oh, where was that clip? I got to take a quick break. I'm going to show you why he's got math problems. I lost the tab, so I'll take a short break. I'll find it again. I'll come back and I'll show you what Donald Trump's shortcoming is in this area. Hang on.
Greetings, brave Mavericks. Our quest for truth continues. We go beyond fake news. Together we expose propaganda. Together we pull others out of rabbit holes. We are maverick thinkers. We are all unique individuals, defenders of individual rights and freedoms, credible, trusted, grounded in reality. Maverick News, Maverick News. Defending free speech, free speech. Donate at freedomreporters.com. Do it now. Tomorrow may be too late. Maverick News. The world is watching.
Okay. Donald Trump has a problem with math, numbers, and spelling. He's always posting on social media with spelling errors. Well, this is a bit of a doozy. He's sitting there saying at one point that the U.S. is subsidizing Canada to the tune of $100 billion a year. Not accurate, by the way. Not accurate. Yeah, the United States has a trade deficit every year with Canada. There's a reason for that. It's because Canada is a much smaller country, so we can't consume as much as the United States does to begin with. And then, yes, we do export so we have a surplus, a trade surplus with the United States every year, but it's about 41 billion, not 100 billion. And that isn't a subsidy. That's just because we export more to the United States than we sell more to the United States overall than we take in. And that's because we're sending to the United States all kinds of commodities, whether it's grain or uranium or nickel or energy in various forms, all kinds of resources, lumber, steel, some produced goods, auto industry trade back and forth. There's all of that. So it's just not like the United States is just handing us $100 billion. The number's not accurate to begin with. And secondly, a trade imbalance in this context is not really much of an imbalance at all, given that Canada is a much smaller country. We don't have enough people to consume that much coming back from the United States to sort of offset what they consume down there. And even though Michael Cohen says, they can do without what we send, I beg to differ. We have a lot of things that we send to the United States that are really needed down there. And without the Canadian supply, prices would just spiral out of control. If he imposes this 25% tariff across the board, the U.S. economy is in a lot of trouble anyway. So if I were in the position of a premier, or if I was the prime minister, I'd say, go right ahead, smart guy. Go ahead, because you obviously don't know how to count. You don't know math. You've got a problem. You better go check with your financial advisors, your economists, and figure this out, because Donald Trump, you don't even know the difference between 100 million and 100 billion. And so here's his post on social media where he says, no one can answer why we subsidize Canada to the tune of over 100, and that says 100 million a year. He's missing 3 zeros. Makes no sense, exclamation point. Many Canadians want Canada to become the 51st state. They would save massively on taxes and military protection. I think it is a great idea, 51st state. I used to not be so opposed to it, but, years ago I used to think, I'd maybe like to kind of move. I'd like to move to a warmer state like Florida, or I looked at moving to Texas at one point because I love it down there and I love the United States, but I love Canada. And as I sit here tonight and I see the way he's approaching this, and when I've seen what has been happening over the past couple of years with other people kind of making waves in that direction, I'm not happy about it. I think it's insulting. This does not feel friendly to me. This feels invasive. hostile, like a takeover, not like a marriage, a merger. It's like a takeover. That's how it feels to me. And there's something else in play, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but I can smell it, and it smells rotten to the core. Whatever it is it foreign influence beyond what we're seeing? Is it something else? I just can't figure it out. A lot of theories, a lot of speculation. You know, there's been a lot of talk over the last, well, really since, I don't know, 2006, really, even, maybe even before that, about a plan to turn Canada, the United States, and Mexico into a single large trading bloc. And that talk has primarily been realized through the North American Free Trade Agreement first, which was negotiated when Brian Mulroney was the Prime Minister of Canada. And then it was renegotiated as the United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or the USMCA, or also known as the CUMSA, depending on the language that you speak. So NAFTA was implemented in 1994 and was designed to remove most tariffs and trade barriers and goods traded among Canada, the United States, Mexico, creating a free trade zone in North America. I remember when all of that was going on, I was covering that election as a cub reporter, a student of journalism at the time. And people were sold a bill of goods on that in many respects, because they thought it would just mean they could go to the United States and shop for whatever they wanted to shop for and come back and not have to pay duty or taxes. But it never really worked out like that. There were some things that were affected on the consumer goods side, but really ultimately it was about commodities and resources and oil and all of these things. So in 2018, after negotiations which were led by the Trump administration, NAFTA was replaced by the USMCA. And of course, Chrystia Freeland was part of all those negotiations, and Trump doesn't like her at all, which makes me think maybe he has more respect for her than he does for Justin Trudeau. I would say Trump almost fears that woman. So in that respect, I'm kind of like, maybe put her back in and get rid of JT. She can stick around for a little while longer, because at least she gets under his skin, and we need somebody down there who's got some cojones, some testicles to tan. What is that with Tucker Carlson and the tanned testicles? Anyway, I digress. So while there's no official governmental plan, though, to merge all three countries, Canada, the U.S., Mexico, into a single state, there have been many discussions and theories, if you want, or even conspiracy theories about a North American Union. But there's more. It's more than that. There is real talk about it. There has been. There have even been meetings in the past about this. And so the USMCA strengthens economic ties, aiming for a more integrated North American economy. And discussions about that often revolve around, enhancing the efficiency of supply chains and harmonizing relations and regulations to facilitate trade and investment further. That's what, I would say in a best case scenario, we're going to experience as Trump enters into a whole new round of negotiations to once again renegotiate now the USMCA, because I guess it just wasn't good enough after he rejigged the whole free trade agreement the last time he was in office. He's got to do it again. I don't know how many times. Well, he only gets one more kick at the can as president anyway. So hopefully they get it sorted out this time and we can get back to a better position of stability. But, there are some people who believe that this is all moving now toward a political union, similar to the European Union, And some people are calling it like the North American Union. We're going to have more conversations about that in the days ahead. I think there is actually some real merit to those discussions and those concerns that people have, especially when we've seen Trudeau talking about the world's first post-nation state, when we see Trump calling Canada the 51st state, when we see other people saying that, like Jackson Hinkle, Lieutenant Steve Rogers, and Testicle Carson, saying that they want to liberate Canada. No, there's more going on here than a joke. The USMCA is primarily an economic agreement on trade liberalization, but that's just the trade aspect of it, and that lays the groundwork for, I think, and these negotiations coming up. It lays the groundwork for something bigger, something bigger. There was a meeting, back in 2006. The leaders of Canada, the U.S., Mexico did meet. It was the second North American Leaders Summit. And it took place in Mexico. And that summit was part of a broader initiative known as the Security and Prosperity Partnership of North America, or the SPP, which was eventually established. It was established in the year before that, actually. And the SPP aimed at improving security and economic cooperation among all three countries. But it did not actually include specific plans for creating a political union. So, there's a lot of speculation that still swirls around the SPP. And some criticized it for lacking transparency and for being influenced by business interests. And so a lot of people, some people would call it a conspiracy theory. But there's something more going on. If it does, that kind of thing just doesn't linger for this amount of time. We don't get these kind of actions. You don't get the President of the United States posting things like he has been posting unless there's something more to it. Because it's inappropriate to just call your next door neighbor a sovereign country the 51st state. It's aggressive, it's assaultive, it's threatening. And it's thrown our country into a tizzy. It's resulting, look how disruptive it is. I know he doesn't like Trudeau, I get it, but it's not his place, really, to be saying things to be so disruptive to Canada that we actually have a prime minister now being essentially forced to resign. We in Canada should be the ones having that kind of influence over our political processes. But Trump, that's in a way, it's like foreign interference, just the same as it was when Vladimir Putin, when asked who he would prefer to have as president, at first said Kamala Harris, or it actually was Biden, then switched and then later said he'd rather have Trump. And it's clear that he did want to have Trump, or did he? Anyway, no matter what he says, it was disruptive. It was having some sort of impact or influence. If he truly wanted to be cooperative and do the right thing, he would have said something to a question like that. Well, it's up to the voters in the United States to decide and just keep his nose out of it. But of course, he couldn't resist. So he absolutely stuck his nose in there. And, Russian influence is something that some people also theorize about, especially with regard to this and having Canada even in play. I think Russia does have their eye on Canada as a prize. That's what the information warfare is about up here. Disrupt, undermine, divide, create, fuel distrust in the U.S. government, especially among Canadians, to erode support. And maybe that's why, ultimately Trump is talking about Canada as the 51st state. Maybe he really does see Canada as something of a threat because of foreign infiltration up here. Or maybe he's part of the foreign infiltration. That's another theory. I can't say one way or the other. I don't have any facts, but these are things that are really being discussed on social media and in public and just among, people in casual conversation. Numerous reports, investigations, official assessments, including those from U.S. intelligence agencies, have concluded that Russia engaged in efforts to influence the 2016 U.S. presidential election and this election as well. I think that's actually true, and I've got something I'm going to show you in just a moment to reinforce what I'm talking about with regard to that. Although the conclusion that this person that I'm going to show you comes to is erroneous, I'll show you what he has to say. And then, of course, people keep referring back to Trump's business dealings in Russia in the past, his past admiration expressed publicly for Vladimir Putin. A lot of people think that Trump's in the bag for Russia. I'm not so sure. He seems to take a hard line at times with Russia. In some cases, an even harder line than Biden. I think in some cases, there's real evidence to suggest that it's Biden and Hunter Biden who really have stronger ties to Russian oligarchs and Russian corruption than Trump ever did. I don't know. Speculative theories exist suggesting that Russia might aim to influence or destabilize Canada to further its geopolitical aims. And these, again, are just theories, but they often arise in discussions about Russian cyber operations, and that's a real thing. It is happening. Documented disinformation campaigns, documented, or in broader contexts where Russia is accused of trying to undermine Western democracies, documented. It's happening every single day. While there's no direct, widely accepted evidence of Russia orchestrating, say, a coup in Canada, there have been concerns about foreign interference in Canadian elections, not just from Russia, but Iran, China, India, others. We're seeing it. CSIS acknowledging that, the RCMP acknowledging that. We're having committees, government committees addressing these issues. We know that we have corrupt politicians under foreign influence right now, MPs sitting in the House of Commons. It's a fact. Well, alleged anyway from our investigative bodies, our authorities. Some theories extend to the idea that by influencing U.S. politics, Russia might indirectly gain leverage over Canada due to their close economic and military ties. And this could include manipulating U.S. policy towards Canada in ways, as we're seeing right now, that benefit Russian strategic interests. Though these are more speculative, I guess, than anything else. And yet, in that podcast with Michael Cohen and his cohort, that was asserted right there. He said, this is China's dream. And it's Trump that's doing that. This is very destructive. What will the end result be? I'm not sure. This is kind of the way Trump's art of the deal works. So hopefully it's constructive in the end. But right now it's very disruptive and very concerning to me. And so you get a lot of discussions out there about a possible coordinated effort involving Trump, Russia, the manipulation of North American politics. But, I don't like to delve too much into conspiracy theories. I'm just saying that there is circumstantial and actually, there's actual evidence, but connecting the dots and then coming up with something concrete to determine exactly what kind of influence is in play here. But that's the nature of politics anyway. It's shadowy, strange bedfellows are made in politics, strange alliances, compromises, backroom deals. The old boys network now with a lot of new women in there too, all of them smoking cigars in back rooms and making deals and wheeling and dealing, and our lives hang in the balance. So there, maybe aren't any absolute positively documented cases or documented evidence concerning Russian influence on the U.S. election this time in a way that it really made a difference. But I don't know. There's absolutely something to be said about this concern. And I think it's valid to have concerns right now about Canadian sovereignty as really a lot of these things that people, as conspiracy theories that appear to be almost coming true now, move us closer toward some sort of a Canada, USA, Mexico, new union, political union of some kind. And what does that mean? What does that look like? We'll have to let it play out, I guess. Judge Mr. Trump, judge all these politicians by their actions, not so much just their words. See where all this goes. Cross your fingers, hope and pray. Pray for peace. I sure hope we don't need that Canadian military. Why are we even talking about that? I'll tell you, it's absolutely true. Our Canadian military wouldn't stand a chance. We wouldn't last 2 minutes against some sort of a concerted U.S. invasion of our country. I can't even believe I just said that.
You know, someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Well, I think it's time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.
The entire world is watching.
Every dictator, every crazy dictator in the world is watching.
The world is watching. On TV, the entire world is watching. On social media.
But the entire world is watching, and yes, they are seeing what we have apparently bravely been willing to say that others are thinking.
Stand for freedom. Literally stand for freedom. Let's get this done. The entire world is watching.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars.
Maverick News. Maverick News. Maverick News.
Let me have more control of my own destiny.
The world is watching.
Jagmeet Singh, leader of the NDP, he's the guy who continues to prop up Justin Trudeau, says he doesn't want to get boxed in. Still, even now, even after he called for Justin Trudeau to step down, I guess today he still won't absolutely commit to voting against him in the next confidence vote to bring the government down and force an election. Here he is on breakfast television.
After the holiday period, after Justin Trudeau reflects, say he doesn't resign, then what?
Well, I'm not going to answer hypotheticals, but I can tell you my commitment is we know there's going to be an election next year. We know that 2025 is an election year. That's for sure. And people tell me again and again that they are fed up with and are done with the Liberals. They're not going to give them. They don't deserve another chance. So there'll be an important choice. The Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre, want to cut the things that people need. They want to cut pensions for seniors. They want to cut childcare for families. They want to cut investments in healthcare. They're going to cut, and it's going to hurt people. Or New Democrats, what we want to do is we want to make your life more affordable. Make sure you can lower the bill, lower the...
After the...
So, I mean, then he just goes on, blah, 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 more politicking. But even now, after all this, Jagmeet Singh still won't come out and say, yep, he's going to go. After the holiday break, we're going to come back, and I will no longer support Justin Trudeau because they have what they call that supply and confidence deal, which means basically that Jagmeet Singh is the tail wagging the dog. He wants certain things. Trudeau has to give him certain things, like this national dental program and other stuff. And in exchange, Jagmeet Singh votes with the Liberals, forces his New Democrat MPs to vote with the Liberals as a voting bloc so that the government remains in power. That's skillful politicking on behalf of Justin Trudeau with a minority government, which is what he has at the moment. You can only survive with a minority government if you have the support of one of the smaller parties, and in this case, the NDP keeps propping up. But nope, still not going to make a firm commitment. No, can't do that. No, he's selling the people out, is what he's doing. And why? Is it because he wants to ride it out to the end so he gets that pension? I don't know. That's what everybody says, or a lot of people anyway. That's what they say. Selfishness on behalf of Jagmeet Singh. It's looking more and more like that every day to me. So here we go with this. This is Fox News making reference to Are we back? Are we still on? Are we on the air? Let me see. There we go. Okay, we're back. We're back. I'm sorry about that, folks. Trying to come back on. I think we've got the stream reestablished here. My apologies. Let me just see if we've got it going on here. Yeah, okay, we're back, I guess. It's back. Oh, man. The internet keeps giving us problems here. I don't know what the problem is. I rebooted everything tonight, too. But anyway, you don't need to know my problems, although this problem is everybody's problem because it disrupted the feed. In any event, this is Jerry Dorn, an Air Force vet. Well, actually, you know what? We got to go back to this clip on Fox first. This is where Canada's the 51st state is being addressed on the 5. As I say, Justin Trudeau's woes making international headlines, no longer the darling of the domestic and international media.
Do you think President Trump meant to be the straw that broke the camel's back on Trudeau's government?
He might not want to get rid of Trudeau because you get a conservative in there, they could be tougher on trade. But my sources in Canada, Dan, they're saying...
This Johnny?
They're saying Trudeau is probably toast. And just for all the reasons you just mentioned, this leadership was already teetering, and the trade threat basically put him over the edge. But this is a great opportunity, as you were saying in the break, to all of these countries now kind of struggling to stay afloat, and Trump can really drive a hard bargain on trade in the first year or two.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but there is a candidate, Poilievre, in Canada, who's phenomenal. I mean, his speeches are incredible. I think he's going to...
The other thing that's happened over the last several years is a virulent strain of anti-Semitism in Canada. And it's the country... We need a strong Canada. And we don't have one right now.
And I can't say we're free from anti-Semitism as you look up to Uptown and see what's happening at Columbia, NYU, City College. It's sad. We're horrible in Ireland. Who thought that? What an embarrassment to be half Irish. Christina Freeland, I am. It's embarrassing.
It's not on you,
Christina
Brian.
Freeland, but it's embarrassing. She comes out and she says, I'm leaving because we're buried in debt right now, and you're giving people checks. And you're also, you're sending them checks, and you're giving them a holiday from paying taxes. We have no revenue. You're trying to buy votes. And he's getting attacked from the left right now. His approval rating is at 28%. But he is a supple man. I've seen him do yoga, and he's a very supple man. And that's something that I got to give him credit for.
Okay, so somebody calling in here, but I don't have a good connection with him, so I need to take a little break to vet this call, folks, and then we'll come back on the other side and see if we can add Another caller to our queue. Hang on just a moment. Here we go. Hi. Are you calling to be on the show?
Possibly, yes. I am. Well, I'm using my television, but...
Okay, well, who, because I got to know, because I don't have a producer, so just tell me yes or no. What's your name?
I'm Jerry.
Okay. Hang on just a moment. I'm going to put you on, okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
Maverick News. The world is watching.
We're back, and Jerry is on the line. Sorry about the technical problems, everybody. Jerry, welcome to the program. What's on your mind?
Well, I've seen some technical problems here at the house myself here the past couple of days, but that's not the issue. You was talking about Justin Trudeau. You know, I love going to Canada. I've had some amazing times there, but during COVID, you got to remember those of us that did not take the shot was not allowed there. And I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. Can I put my volume on?
Yeah, you can hear it. You should be able to hear me. Yeah, don't put your volume on because you're going to get delay. Just talk to me on the phone.
But, so, I travel the world. I'm a crew chief on a private jet. Can't tell you who I work for.
Where are you calling from, by the way?
Ohio.
Okay.
I can say that. But if Canada does not get rid of him, they are doing themselves the biggest injustice I've ever seen. And I love going up there. The people are great. The leadership. And this all stems back to when you can't go into a restaurant. We could fly in, but I couldn't go out and have a meal. So I've not forgotten this. I will never forget this. Same with Hawaii, by the way. But maybe the people will speak up for themselves, and I hope they do. Great place to go, great place to visit. But I think they have very bad leadership. And I do watch some things on streaming or TV or whatever you want to call it these days. But, yeah, maybe it's time for Justin to go.
And what's your interpretation of Trump referring to Canada as the 51st state? What do you make of it?
Well, I think it'd be very easy, and I think we should do it. Why not? And don't stop there. Take over Mexico, too. I mean, you know, honestly, we pay for both countries, so might as well get some tax-paying citizens into the group. And
why do you say that you pay for us? Why would you say that? In what way?
Well, evidently, there's some things going on the backside that most don't know about, but do we not subsidize anything in Canada right now as Joe Biden runs the country?
If you can clue me in and tell me what it is that the United States subsidizes in Canada, and I'll do a little search here to see if I can find anything.
Okay.
Are you aware of anything that you subsidize up here?
Well, there's a lot of Americans that like to travel and go north, and if you can't get in the country, and I know that's all been rebunked now, and now we're all welcome again, but I don't really care to come back. I mean, and I love the culture. I really do.
Because I don't know. This is the thing.
I've been to Canada 100 plus times.
You guys do not. You don't subsidize us really in any way. The only thing that I would say we benefit from is that you guys have the world's, probably the world's largest military. I think it is, and we live under the protection of that, like the free world, right?
I do not think we should. I don't think the United States should use our military for anything else other than the United States. I don't think we should bail out anyone. I don't think we should go to war with anyone anywhere.
What happens? Let me ask you. Let me ask you something, Jerry. What happens if China or Russia or both invade Canada? What should the United States do then?
Not a thing.
Nothing.
Nope. No, I think we need to protect our own borders, and I think we waste money, and
let me ask you this:
really
if China or Russia invaded the United States, would you want us to come and help you?
You'll never have to.
Well, so you say.
We have the biggest army in the world. Everyone knows it. We never gave up our guns. Everyone, well, I can't say everyone in the United States, but most.
Do you know why Canada doesn't have a larger military? Do you know why Canada doesn't have its own military production industry, like when we were trying to produce the Avro Aero fighter jet? Do you know why the Avro Aero fighter jet was never produced state of the art at the time?
I've actually got to hang out with some of your fighter pilots,
Yeah.
and you know what? I appreciate every one of them.
Yeah.
But why did you guys give up your freedom of arms? And I mean, there's one thing that the United States has not done yet. They keep pushing it, but we have not given up our freedom when it comes to bear arms. And I think that's why no one's ever tried to invade the United States. I really do. And I don't think they will. That would be a massacre. Even if China would send everyone.
Well, if you go get if you do the training and you get the permit, you can possess guns in Canada. They're not completely banned, or it's not quite like that.
So 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I know. They added some more guns. They added some more guns to the restricted list, and they banned some more guns, but not all guns.
So what are you down to? What are you allowed to possess in Canada?
Well, let me show you. We'll bring it up. Here, I'll show you. It's not it's not quite like it is in the United States, but you can get guns. You can get your permit. They do have clubs where people go to shoot. We do have people who are hunters. Here's Canada's gun store. Non-restricted, restricted weapons, hunting. Let's see what we have here. Here's click on the guns. Open up, come on. Why isn't this opening for me? It's not opening. Anyway, you tons of guns and ammo. Maybe you need to sign into this site.
Hold on, attention customers. I'm watching you as you go through.
Yeah, there's something going on with shipping times and so on here, but
Okay.
yeah, I mean, you can buy all kinds of guns. You can get them at gun stores. There are a lot of regulations here, but it's not like they're banned. But anyway.
But just from an individual, and I'll say this again.
Oh, here we are.
I used to love to come to Canada until they told me I couldn't eat in a restaurant because I was a non-vaccinated individual, and I guess I'm dirty.
Sure, but in fairness, you had some of the same. You had some states, a lot of states, doing the same crazy things down there that we had going on up here too. And I was no fan. I was absolutely opposed to those lockdowns and the mandates and the masking and all of that. I was opposed to it adamantly. But yeah, I know what you're saying. But it's not like the United States was all that much different.
Well,
a few states were different, like Florida. And
I don't think I was refused anywhere. Maybe New York. And I travel a lot. I mean, I travel around the world. And, some countries never locked down anything. Some countries said, no. Some countries got a little crazy. Hawaii, Canada, got a little crazy.
Yeah, are you seeing what I'm scrolling through here?
Yes. I see the Golden Boys, basically, long rifles.
No, this is just like one page that I'm just scrolling down.
So you can go to any gun shop right now and just purchase that and carry it out.
Yeah, you have to. I don't own any guns, but if you go do the safety training, and then file the paperwork, you can get a permit and you can go and you can get guns. You can go hunting. You can possess guns if you're on a farm. You can have guns. You can have carry permits, depending on why you need it. If you are in like remote areas, for instance, and you can carry guns in holsters. It just depends. But you can absolutely get guns. It's not like they're completely banned.
So my wife is ex-Air Force. She carried a sidearm.
Yep.
When I leave the country or leave to go to work, I don't worry about my wife. If someone comes in, first off, you got to get through the door, Harley, which he's great. But second off, she doesn't play around. I mean, she was professionally taught. And is that wrong? We live in a very rural area. I could call my sheriff right now and expect him to show up about 6 hours later. Mm-hmm. There is no one defending us out here. So I don't know how it is in certain areas in Canada, but I couldn't go do my job if I didn't feel comfortable that my wife could defend herself. Fair?
Yeah, I mean, I no issues with that. I'm just saying that there are a lot of misconceptions that Americans have about Canadians, and I think a lot of it is because the media coverage that you get down there is based on assumptions, incorrect information.
And that could be.
Mm-hmm.
I just seen something 2 weeks ago, like I told you earlier, that they're banning more and more guns, and I'm like,
yep.
No, you should be promoting more and more guns.
Yeah, I mean, but that's also a reflection
okay.
of where the public attitude is on guns up here. It's a response to that. Canadians some Canadians on the conservative side are more pro, they like more freer gun laws, but there are a lot of people who don't, so it's a political struggle back and forth, as it is in the United States. It's an ongoing issue, and up here we don't have the same constitutional protections for gun ownership, so of course we have much stricter restrictions and gun registry, but it's an ongoing issue. But they're not banned. Not that's not true. You can get guns. That's my only point. You have freer gun laws than we do. We have much more restrictive gun laws, but you can get guns.
But even if I go buy a gun today, I have to fill out a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
And I have to go through a process. It's not just going in and picking up a firearm. You've got to go through a process, even in the United States. Now, sadly, I'm not saying it's perfect, because there's folks that are still obtaining firearms. Even, 2 or 3 days ago, we had I'll just say we had a student. That may be the best. Don't know where that's going. Don't even know where she came up with this. But sad. But first off, she shouldn't even have had that in her hands. So,
anyway,
she did not buy it. She wasn't legal to even carry it.
Well, we're kind of off the beaten track here a bit on this subject, because it really wasn't supposed to get into, the gun issue so much tonight. It's more about Trump and the 51st state and the tariffs and Trudeau.
Okay, okay. So I travel around the world. Let's talk about Trump just a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
We was the laughing stock for about the past 4 years, and there's not too many countries other than Israel and Russia that I have not been in the past 4 years for certain reasons. Prior to that, yeah, been to both of them. So just done a training class over in England. Had some French individuals wanting to know what I thought prior to the election. Now, all this is prior to the election, and this was around the world. Everyone was curious of what I thought was going to happen. I'm like, I have not a clue at this point. But I think most around the world, if you want to talk Trump, they want him in office because they feel that he's more stable, and they feel safer with someone stable in office. How's that?
Okay. Well, if Donald Trump is the most stable guy you could come up with, I think we're maybe in a lot of trouble, because it's been feeling very unstable since his election, and he's not even in office yet. He's really destabilized things up here in Canada to a very great degree in very short order.
Well, yeah, I mean, he made a statement on TV that, okay, we'll make you another state.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
to which my response as a Canadian is, fuck you. Okay.
Hey, that's a fair response. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's it.
I will not disrespect, but I do get to meet with folks from around the world, and sadly, they was all worried prior to the election. I'm like, don't worry about the election. Worry about what happened after the election. And
we're there. I'm worried. It's after the election, and I'm worried.
Shit. Hey, doesn't matter which one of them got in. We're going to see recourse either way. And right now in the United States, we got a bunch of crazy stuff flying around. Now listen, I have a personal drone, and it's the greatest thing in the world for on my farm. I can transverse my farm, and I know exactly what's going on pretty much everywhere. It's a great tool. What's going on in some of these cities and around the world, I've watched a lot of the video. I wish I could buy one of them orbs that can maneuver at different speeds. And
have you seen?
I'm an aircraft technician I've been in aviation since 1989. I wish I could buy something that could maneuver like that. I don't think so. I don't think they let the public have that.
Yeah, well,
I would say the military.
We're on to the drones now. Oh my God, have you seen any drones in your neighborhood lately? Among all the drone mania?
No, just mine.
Yeah,
I've got mine.
I haven't seen any either. I haven't seen any either.
But no. Have you watched any of the footage? And when I say any of it, you got to watch a lot of it, because a lot of it's fake. You got to be able to.
A lot of it's fake. Yes, a lot of it is fake, and 80% is fake. Another 15% is just pictures of airplanes, and the rest, who knows?
I know what an airplane looks like.
Yeah.
I know what a homeowner's drone looks like, but some of the footage shows some stuff. Now, is it fake? Is it real? That's the problem. How do you discern what's real and fake anymore? What you're watching?
I don't know. Trump is getting the security briefings. He knows. And I don't think that he was helpful in his statement. Was it just yesterday?
Well, he ain't going to the golf course right now.
I know. Oh, thanks for that, Donald. Like, if you're worried, I mean, for crying out loud, whatever, man. Like, and then there was a hearing today, I guess, or a special meeting, behind closed doors, secret, confidential, top secret meeting. And then they came out and they said that these drones are, one guy said, and I don't know if it was in full context, that it's some sort of a federal operation, but they're not sniffing for radioactive material. They're not up there sniffing for chemicals, that it's something else, but we still don't really have an answer. I don't know what the hell that means.
I've listened to both sides on this. Yes, I agree with.
Whatever.
I'll give it a 30-30, okay? okay, maybe they are sniffing for something. But I'm only going to give out 30%.
Well, they're saying it was because it was like radioactive material from some medical, like a CT scanner or something. I don't know what it is. And you can't make a bomb out of that. So, like, relax, folks.
This is what most don't realize. Every time we fly into the United States, the Border Patrol comes on board with a little box. They carry it through the private jet. They're not worried about anything other than stuff that we should not have on board. That's that little box that they carry up and down the aisle. They take it through the whole airplane. And when they say we're cleared, we're cleared. That's not looking for marijuana or anything like that. That's looking for bigger things. So could a drone do it? Yeah, I'm sure it could. And I'm sure we got vehicles and things going down the road every day that can track certain things.
I don't know. It does until I get some concrete information on something. I'm not going to lose any sleep. If these were foreign drones or something, you know, they would have attacked us by now. They haven't done that, so well, I don't know.
I will give you concrete information on one thing, and hopefully you have a lot of listeners. If they go on YouTube and look up TR3B, they gotta find the video of the military guys with the night vision. It'll be a green video. I seen that 30 years ago. So I know we have capabilities that are way beyond anyone's imagination.
Sure.
Yeah. Even mine. I've been in aviation. I'm a commercial multi-rated pilot. I'm an aircraft technician. I've dealt with a lot of things. It flew over my house 28 years ago, and I was blown away, and I did not reach out to anyone. It's not a UFO. It is a black triangle. A lot of people think it's a UFO. It's not. It's ours. Everyone can look it up. A lot of videos on YouTube are not real. You got to pick and choose what you look at.
Yeah, and listen, the clock is ticking here, so I'm going to get you to wrap up for us and give us a wrap up.
I had a pleasure talking with you,
It
and
was fun.
I do love Canada, and I love the food, I love the culture. I don't love Justin.
Yeah, well, we're doomed now because if we get invaded, I know you ain't coming to help. But don't you worry. If it happens to you, I'm there. I'm going to save your ass. It's okay. I'm going to be down there with my hockey stick, and I'm going to back you up.
But no one has to back me up. Everyone around me backs me up. I mean, that's just the way that we live, and it's a little different. Now, I listen, nothing against the Canadian culture. I love it. I love coming to Canada if I'm allowed. I think I am now.
Yeah, come on. But, you can come on up here. Yeah.
You know.
We'll have you anytime.
Well, not sometimes.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you can come anytime. You can come to my place anyway.
I'm just a hillbilly from Southern Ohio, and I enjoy different. Well, I'm blessed because I get to travel around on certain things, and it's all good. But if your listeners look up one thing, TR3B, find the one that the military filmed it. They wasn't supposed to.
Okay.
But I seen that 30 years ago. So our technology is so far advanced.
Yeah, and again, I got to get you to wrap up because we're just you're getting long and we're getting long in the time here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. But that's where this all boils down to. I mean, people's freaking out about stuff right now, and I'm like, oh no, you have not a clue of what is available. But I think in the public's eye, the easiest way to lean them into it, go look up TR3B. Be careful because there's a lot of fake videos out there, but there's also some really good ones. So start with that.
Okay.
And make a full circle because these orbs, I'm going to say they're not alien. They are U.S. I don't know what powers them. I don't know what. And I've been working on aircraft since 1989.
Okay, I really got to get you to wrap up. Because we're out of time.
Anyway, that's it. Hey, that kind of brings it full circle, and maybe Justin will step down.
It's coming.
I like a lot of people up there.
That's good.
I mean, I love
Jerry,
a lot of people up there.
Yeah, I gotta go.
Okay.
Or it's going to be tomorrow.
Hey, have a good evening.
Okay.
Hey,
Thanks.
Later.
Appreciate
Bye.
the call. Call again. Talk to you next time. Jeez. And on to the drones we go. Again, I might as well run the clip that I have here. This is oh my goodness. This happened after this classified briefing, which took place in a secure, top secret, facility. You remember Get Smart? If you're maybe not old enough to remember, it was like, Get Smart. It was like the spy comedy show, and they had the cone of silence where the secret agents would get inside this acrylic dome so that they couldn't, the Russians couldn't hear them when they were in the cone of silence. So that's basically what happened during this meeting today. They went into something called a secure compartmented information facility, the cone of silence. And then this is Jim Himes commenting on this, and he says that these drone sightings in New Jersey, in Connecticut, anywhere they're being sighted, he says they've been told that they're part of a federal government operation, but no need to panic, folks, because they are not sniffing for radioactive devices.
These sightings in New Jersey, Connecticut, anywhere they're being sighted, are federal government operations, and they are not. We were assured, and we asked this question over and over and over again. They are not federal government operations to sniff radiation, gas, recovery, anything else. Number two, they remain committed to their message that there is zero evidence of laws being broken by any of these drones. And the context here was the fact that when Josh and I live probably equidistant from Midtown Manhattan, the New York metropolitan area is some of the most crowded airspace in the world, with Newark, Teterboro, White Plains,
Hard to hear
LaGuardia, Newark, JFK. There is a lot of commercial aircraft in the air, general aviation aircraft in the air. There are 800,000 registered drones in this country.
Very low audio.
Millions and many unregistered drones. Because if you have a drone that weighs less than about half a pound, that need not be registered.
Okay, so he's saying, because you may not have been able to hear that very well, that these it's some sort of a federal government operation. That's what they were told in this meeting, that these drones, however, are not looking for like a bomb. They're not like a radioactive bomb or radioactive material. They're not sniffing for gas or chemicals, whatever it is going on. So everybody can relax as long as they're telling us the truth. And I know that probably 99% of you don't believe him. So a lot of good that did. Why am I wasting my time? I shouldn't even be talking about it. Because nobody's going to believe any of it anyway. So it doesn't matter what anybody says. Everybody wants to believe the worst and hope for the best. I believe the worst, but I'm hoping for the best. We're doomed. Oh my God. So, and he's saying that there are over 800,000 registered drones in the New Jersey area, I guess, or in these areas, and millions more of unregistered drones. And you can see that you can get these drones now for as little as like $40. You can get drones. You get every 12-year-old kid out there flying these things around. Now, I know that the ones that look really big and everything, like, there's something going on. I know that. But relax. Just take a breath. Everybody's looking up. Everybody's looking up. And I know, let's just go to the Pentagon. Let's run their clip too. Because I might as well run more stuff that no one will pay any attention to, and we'll just decide that it's a big lie. It's like, okay, here's something else for everybody to not believe. Here you go.
Just why does it have to be a classified briefing if these are just hobbyist drones? They're not military drones. Why is it a classified briefing on the Capitol Hill?
I'd have to refer you to Congress on that. Again, sharing as much information as we can here. I don't have the briefing in front of me, so I can't tell you specifically, what aspects are classified or not. I can assure you, though, that again, we are sharing as much information as we can based on what we know.
And why would you believe that guy? So there's another clip for everyone to not believe tonight. And while I'm at it, I'll give you a guy that you probably will believe, because he's a guy that we probably shouldn't believe. And I can tell you why. This is, what's this guy's name again? This is Jerry Dorn, an Air Force vet, now a big TikToker who makes, I guess, does he make a living with his TikToking? He's saying that Trump ain't never going to get into office. I might as well show you his stuff since we're on a roll here. And he'll explain why. It's because of this executive order dealing with foreign interference. And let me show you. Here's Mr. TikToker. And this guy you'll probably believe.
I want to just leave this short. It's 4 minutes. We'll do this before 5. Guys, don't forget. It's we the people, okay? We have executive order coming out, 13848, right? It's going to be implemented. It's been out. Donald Trump helped create it. And it's going to come back to bite him in the ass, because what it does is it says how we have to proceed when we realize that there has been outside interference in our elections. There definitely has been. They're going to reveal that on the 20th of December, because 45 days from November 6th brings us to December 20th, which is 6 days from today. So this coming Friday. So have a great weekend. Do your laundry. Hang your stuff out if you can. Change the sheets to your bed. Go grocery shopping. Get everything set up. Go to church tomorrow or don't. Pray at home. Hold hands. Love the ones you're with. Be good to yourselves. And let's get our country back, right? Next week, the Friday, I have a feeling this Executive Order 13848 will be implemented. And if not, a month from then, December 20th to January 20th, the day of the inauguration, we, the people, are going to have to show up in Washington and have this guy step down. The 3% rule states that if you have 3% of of a group of people's population, 3% of a particular population, if they gather en masse, they can change everything. So we have 330 million Americans. 10% of that is 33 million. And what's a third of that? 11 million. 11 million of us have to show up on Washington, D.C. on January 20th and have this guy step down. He'll see 11 million people. Talk about a crowd. He'll have a coronary and he'll have to step down. We got to do it. And we can't depend on the people out west. God bless. But for those of us here in New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, Long Island, Connecticut, right? Everybody, we got to converge on Washington. Black, white, trans, LGBTQ2, drag queens, peacefully, cohesively, we're going to meet and have this guy step down on January 20th. That's our fail-safe. Right, put a smile on your face, because I don't know if you remember, but I'm 61.
Yeah. Okay, enough of that. He goes off on a little trip down memory lane when he was a kid watching cartoons or something. There's nothing else to add there. No. Here's Executive Order 13848, which deals with imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in the United States election. However, he's not quite getting it right, because Executive Order 13848, which was signed by President Trump back in September of 2018, it's titled Imposing Certain Sanctions in the Event of Foreign Interference in a United States Election, and the order establishes a framework for identifying and sanctioning foreign entities that attempt to interfere with U.S. elections. It mandates post-election assessments by the Director of National Intelligence to evaluate any foreign interference, and it authorizes the imposition of sanctions, including asset blocking, visa restrictions, and other measures against those found to be involved in such activities. And the order was primarily focused on enhancing election security by deterring foreign interference through punitive actions. So this executive order does not grant the authority to nullify or interfere with the results of a U.S. presidential election or prevent an elected president from taking office. Its scope is explicitly limited to foreign interference, not domestic political outcomes or the legitimacy of an election's winner. The certification and validation of election results fall under the jurisdiction of state and federal election laws, not executive orders. So there have been misconceptions about this, where some continue to speculate that this order could be used to challenge or overturn the election results. However, these interpretations are not supported by the text, the content of the executive order, which focuses solely on sanctions against foreign entities for election interference. The order does not provide any mechanism or legal basis for altering domestic political outcomes or preventing a duly elected president from assuming office. And Trump won by enough of a margin that it was, as he put it, too big to rig. So it is what it is. He will assume office in January. And even if one were to argue that there was foreign interference that influenced the election, the order's response would be sanctions against foreign actors, not domestic political figures or the electoral process itself. The transition of power in the United States government is governed by the Constitution and federal laws, not by executive orders intended for foreign policy. So Executive Order 13848 does not provide the legal or practical means to prevent Donald Trump from taking office. Its purpose is strictly to address foreign interference in U.S. elections through sanctions, not to influence the domestic political landscape or the legitimacy of the election results. And as for having 11 million people show up en masse at the Capitol in order to have the election results overturned, look what happened before. Look where the J6ers are. Don't do that. If you don't want to go to the slammer, don't do it. Now, I'm not, he's saying do it peacefully, blah, blah, blah. But no, okay? Just don't do what happened the last time, because you just learn. Bad idea. I mean, you want to protest, whatever. You can go protest, but just stay peaceful. And no, it doesn't matter if 22 million people show up, Trump will be inaugurated. You know, as long as he's still breathing, he's going to be inaugurated. It's going to happen, like it or not. And right now, sitting up here in Canada, his pet project, he's a pretty effective leader, military leader. He looks like he can take over the whole country without firing a single shot. All he has to do is say, that's it, you're Canada, it's ours, taking it over. Yeah, fuck you, Donald Trump. No, fuck you, really. Sorry, excuse my language. Fuck you, okay? Come and take it, because I ain't giving up. I'll fight with my hockey stick. No, 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 no. Now, see what's in. Just no. Okay, I love my country. I love the United States too. Can't we just get along? You don't need us. You don't want us. We're a headache. Trust me. And we're taking care of business up here. Trust me on that too. Justin Trudeau's days, maybe even his hours, are numbered. He just doesn't know when to quit. And you know why? It's because people, their very existence, for a lot of people, their existence is defined by their job. When you're Justin Trudeau, and you basically saw that it was your destiny to become the prime minister, you were the anointed one. You were the little prince to become the king. Right? That's kind of the mentality. And the Liberal Party, seen by many as being the natural ruling party of Canada, with a little blip of interruption here and there with conservative governments in between, just as a nuisance. And he basically alluded to that in the speech last night at the Liberal Christmas party, saying that the Liberals have been, you know, the consistent party for 150 years of Canadian history plus. He views himself as, you know, the leader of that. And all he has to do is just try and ride this out. If he loses his gig as the prime minister, what's he going to do? What's that guy going to do? Former drama teacher, can't really go back to that gig for a bunch of reasons. Why? Oh, there was that whole thing with the underage student, right? So there's all that swirling around him. Not saying that, you know, I'm not accusing him of doing anything, just saying that there's all that controversy. So who the heck's going to hire the guy now? And actually, since this is I was talking about Tucker Carlson and his testicle tanning earlier, there's this clip too that I just happened to stumble upon before coming on the air, strangely enough, because I was thinking about Tucker talking about liberating Canada. Here he is, since we're talking about Justin, students, kids. This is Tucker Carlson in a speech at Turning Point USA. What's he talking about? Disciplining one's daughter. Now, I have to say, he's talking about spanking. This also struck me as really freaking weird. I don't know if this is news. I don't even know if this is reality. But it's Tucker Carlson who continues to amaze, surprise, and even shock me. I never spanked my kids, right? Ever. But if I had spanked my kids, maybe would have done it when they were really little and gently, okay, to teach them a lesson. Like, don't run out in front of into traffic or something, right? But he is talking about disciplining a 15-year-old daughter in a way that it seems incredibly inappropriate. The language in this just has creepy overtones. Let me just put it to you that way. Let me just play this for you. You can comment on this if you want, but is it just me, or is this creepy? The language, the daddy talk, and the reference to spanking a teenage girl?
If you allow your hormone-addled 15-year-old daughter to like slam the door of her bedroom and give you the finger, you're going to get more of it. And those kids are going to wind up in rehab. It's not good for you, and it's not good for them. No. There has to be a point at which dad comes home.
Okay. I'm okay so far, kinda.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, daddy's home.
Dad comes home.
Daddy's home.
And he's pissed.
Oh, daddy's angry
Dad
now.
is pissed.
Dad's very, very angry at you.
He's not vengeful. He loves his children.
I love you.
Disobedient as they may be, he loves them. Because they're his children. They live in his house. But he's very disappointed in their behavior. And he's going to have to let them know. He's going to have to get to your room right now.
Yes.
And think about what you did. And when dad gets home, you know what he says? You've been a bad girl. You've been a bad little girl, and you're getting a vigorous spanking right now.
Oh, my God.
And no, it's not going to hurt me more than it hurts you. No, it's not. I'm not going to lie. This is going to hurt you a lot more than it hurts me. And you earned this. You're getting a vigorous spanking because you've been a bad girl.
Oh, my God.
And
oh, Jesus. What the hell? What the hell is that? You've... Oh. Is anybody else picking up this? You've been a very bad girl. I'm just going to have to spank you. He's talking about a 15-year-old girl. His daughter? Going to give her a spanking because she's been a very bad girl. I'm sorry, but maybe it was unintentional. But that creeped me the freak out. Just sharing. Okay. It's making me laugh, but in a really creepy way. Here's Trumpinator. Yeah, Trumpinator gives his bad girl a spanking every night. Yeah. It's just you and Tucker. Oh my God. Oh my God. I didn't even get into his testicle tanning stuff. It just gets weirder and weirder. Oh my. Talking about Canada being invaded. We're talking about drones and aliens, UFOs. Look at the names in the chat. Tinfoil Hat Man. Love you, Tinfoil Hat Man. Love you. I just and testicle tanning and Tucker Carlson and spanking this bad girl. Guys, I can't take it anymore. I really can't. So I'm sorry. I have to sign off now. I just have to. But I'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern, on the flip side. Love you.
This has been a Maverick Multimedia production.